interesting sort of email conversation with a friend of mine who was coming to the show late. He says, "Alan, I'm having a hard time with this show. I can tell the craft is great. It looks wonderful. The performances are great. I just can't sort of reconcile this man, Walter White, who seems like a good guy at the start of the series doing all these horrible things." And I write back to him, I say, the thing you have to understand, at least from my point of view, is Walt's a monster. Walt was always a monster, and just sort of it took this to bring that out of him. And he said, aha. And he watched the rest of the series. He says, okay, thank you. I like it much better now. I'm curious, obviously, for what your perspective is on the goodness, badness of Walter pre and post the cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, Alan, that's a good assessment. You're completely wrong, but that's a good assessment. Being the person who's playing him,
yeah,
you never approach, even if you're playing a clear-cut villain,
yeah,
you never approach him as, I just like to be evil. You always have to try to find the humanity of the man.
Yeah.
To me, it was never that it was preordained that he was this incarnate evil person. And
yeah.
It's just now realized. To me, it was the circumstances. To me, it was things that got out of control. That he was this man. Yes, he is. We first meet him. He's depressed. Then you add on that he has terminal lung cancer. He's going to die in 2 years, and that sets him into a tailspin. And then he realizes, so I'm going to die in 2 years. My wife will empty my bedpan and wipe my drool and change my diaper because I can't do it. And then I die anyways, and I leave them penniless. No man wants to leave a legacy like this.
Yeah.
So he thinks in a very hasty, immature way, what can I do? What do I know? I know chemistry. And because of the contact with his brother-in-law, he realizes, maybe I can do this. Maybe there's a way that I can just be selfish for 3 months,
yeah,
and then die, and then do something for my family.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Smart man, stupid plan. Because he entered into a world he has no skill set for. He has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's circumstantial.
Okay.
I think, and what I've discovered is that anyone, even the meekest person among us,
yeah,
is dangerous given the right set of circumstances.
Okay.
That things can turn. I used this analogy before. It's like everybody's got a money attachment to it, and you think you don't, but you do.
Yeah.
Like if I said, let me slug you in the face, you would laugh and go, well, this is ridiculous. Well, let me give you $100 to slug you in the face. No, let me give you $1,000. Why would you do that? That's ridiculous. Let me give you $25,000 to slug you in the face. And now what happens? Now you go, will you, I don't know if he really has it, but now you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, let's end this. I'll give you $50,000 to slug you in the face. Now you're going, where would you hit me? When did I get the money? Is it, now you're negotiating. You've already accepted this. In a short period of time, I've taken you from, what are you kidding? This is a stupid idea, to it's possible. So when you think of that little example,
yeah,
with no other anxiety coming down on your life, that you could change, just like that. I could make, given the right set of circumstances, anyone, any human being, could become a completely different person and be perceived as being evil.
But I'm curious then, because along the way to where we are now, Vince has laid various points at which Walt could have gotten off this road pretty easily, and he chooses not to. He doesn't take the money from his ex-girlfriend. He doesn't quit after he's cured and he's paid the medical bills. He keeps going back to it. Is that ever something that's difficult for you to reconcile as the guy playing him?
At times, it may be, but then when you really analyze it, you realize that's all part of his devolvement as a human being.
Yeah.
That here's a man who just presented things, ego, or for what?
Yeah.
Being pompous or avarice. Well, there was never an opportunity. But now, given the opportunity, it's like the man who says, I am, yes, I live on this deserted island. I have never cheated on my wife. It's like, hang out at the Playboy Mansion for a while, and then make that claim, and then that's your character building thing. It's like, it depends on what is there.
Yeah.
If the temptation of money is there, if you're poor, what temptation is there? So all these different elements come into play, and what we've discovered, it's not just on the surface of it. It's not just money and that. It's what money does.
Yeah.
To have it affects you emotionally. It affects you intellectually. To have a pocket full of money for the first time in his life, Walter White feels powerful.
Now, Walt has had to do a lot of, obviously, awful things over the course of the 3 seasons people have seen. Have there ever been any moments where, either when you've gotten the script or when it's time to play that scene, where you've had some difficulty, or where you've said, all right, I got to talk to Vince, or whatever? What's an example of something like that, where you really had to be walked into it?
And sometimes they're oversights. Sometimes I'm helping bring attention to them. There was one scene last year that comes to mind. I'm sure there's several. He forcefully moves back into his house, into his own house, much to the chagrin of Skylar. And she puts him in the nursery room, and he's sleeping on the floor and like this. And she's like, well, I don't approve it. I don't like it, And at the end of that episode, he signs the divorce papers. Well, there was two scenes in that. What Walt wanted was to be accepted back into the family. And she makes dinner for him and places, the place down and invites him to dinner. Oh, that's a good one. Then there was another part of the scene that was written, that this is all taken out, that she came by with a laundry basket and saw his stuff and just picked up his stuff and went and did his laundry.
Yeah.
And Walt sees his laundry is folded and then invited to dinner, and then he still signs the papers. And I said, why would he do this? Why would he do this if he sees signs that she's starting to allow him back into their lives? And it was an aha, that's good, yeah. Just cut it. So it made much more sense that nothing was going to change, that she was still feeling this way emotionally toward him. And so then it made sense to me that he'd sign the papers and leave the house.
Okay. All right, last one. It seemed like last season, for a large chunk of the season, Walt was trying very hard to be Walter White and not to be Heisenberg, and had been sort of emasculated by Skylar and Gus and all of that. And then in the last couple of episodes, he kills the 2 guys to save Jesse. He concocts the plan to kill Gale. You get that great scene in the laundromat where you get the upper hand with Mike. Did you miss Heisenberg?
I did. I love playing that guy. That's his alter ego, and he's a man of strength and determination, and he's emphatic about what he wants and Walter White is the human element of him, and he is full of anxiety and doubt and concern, and so it's fun to kind of flip. But I think, like you said, Heisenberg, a part of Heisenberg has always been there.
Yeah.
But never realized. It's as if there's all these different seeds within a human being, but if they're not watered and given some form of sunshine, they're not going to grow. So Walter started to nurture that part of him earlier on because he needs to. He needed to develop a skill set that kept him alive. He needed to start thinking like a criminal, or else he'd be dead. And he's a smart enough man to know that. So that was what was the nurturing of that, and that what comes to fruition is that kind of character who says, no, we're not doing that, we're doing this, and this is what's going to happen, and that's, And I think we're going to see more of that as it evolves into this empire.